Okay, I believe we're live, actually.
Okay, I'm going to sneak back off, but I need you guys to do the bumper again real quick. Because that was, when you were doing it before I hadn't gotten live, I was like, wait. So,
Hi, I'm Jesse Scoble, co-writer of Dead Money Comics, and with me is...
Devinder Thiara, the other writer for Dead Money, and we are on Splash Pages with Kari.
What's wrong with him?
His girl just broke it off.
It's her father. He doesn't want her dating a zombie.
Why? What are they, demons?
She is predeceased.
An outsider?
Man, you're asking for trouble.
She broke my heart.
You're a zombie. Technically, you don't even have a heart.
After all of the great cinema that we brought to the world, and we still get no respect.
I don't know why he doesn't like me. I'm responsible, a full-time job.
You work at a haunted house in October.
I'm trying to be healthy. She's a vegan, so...
Wait, you're giving up meat?
Oh, come on.
What are you gonna do? Attack a farmer's market to try to impress her?
Now, if he was a vampire, you'd have a much better chance with her dad.
Yeah, those pretty bastards.
I didn't think this would be that hard.
Hard. Man, I'm a zombie and I'm black.
Oh, here we go.
I blame the educational system.
I blame the media.
I blame George Romero.
Oh. How could you be so disrespectful?
Coffee?
Zombies don't know much, but they do know good coffee. Deadly Grounds. It's coffee to die for, and zombie approved.
Who's George Romero?
Just have some coffee.
hey everybody, happy Saturday. We're doing a special episode right now of Kari's Crowdfunding Corner, a creator spotlight. Hi Dylan, glad to see you here. And tonight we're talking with, as you saw up at the beginning there, Jesse Scoble and Devinder Thiara. And Jesse is an award-winning game writer with credits on Assassin's Creed Origins and Odyssey, Far Cry 5, Watch Dogs 2, Hyperscape, and Wizard 101. He's also in some tabletop role-playing game works, including a Game of Thrones D20 and the Marvel Universe RPG and Vampire. And Devinder is a tabletop RPG writer with credits on Dune, Conan, John Carter of Mars, and the new Marvel Multiverse RPG. He's also a short story author, a history buff, and a longtime fan of science fiction and fantasy. So welcome, everybody. It is so good to have you here. I am very excited to talk about this. So give us a heads up. We've, Dylan is drawing while he's watching. Good to know. You guys said that you've been working together since you were in college. So I believe, or was it high school?
University is where we met.
University. Okay. So give us a little bit of background about your team up, how you guys got met together and what got you started working together.
Dev, you want to take it?
Yeah, this is a pretty good story, actually. So I think Jesse was already 1 year ahead of me in same program we were in, the English department at the University of Guelph. And I came in the following year, and I didn't really know anybody in the city, so I was just looking for a gaming group to join up and, start playing some RPGs, etc. So I saw there was a sign-up list for a game, basically. As I recall, I think it was the Amber game, right?
Yep.
But it could have been some other one. But yeah, so I signed up, and I just put my short form of my name, Dev, D-E-V, which I guess the way I spelt it read as Jesse thought it was Bev because B-E-V. So he was under the impression there was a hot girl who signed up for his game or something, and he was looking forward to that. So in came I, I'm a pretty large, angry-looking man, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm Dev," right? And he was like, "Oh," right. So that was the introduction for how he met me. So I always find that a particular tale amusing. And since then, we just kind of vibed and got along on, a lot of different topics and things. We have similar opinions, a lot of similar tastes in terms of books and sci-fi and things like that. And we struck up a friendship, and then later on became roommates for quite a few years until we were finished college, and then parted ways for a little bit, and then I guess random life just brings you back together again, and we just been working together since then.
Oh, that's very cool.
So I don't know if there's anything I missed there.
I mean, that covers the pretty broad strokes. I mean, after graduating, I left Guelph, went away for a bit, ended up sort of beyond my control back in the orbit of Guelph is a little town outside of Toronto, back there. And when I started working for a tabletop role-playing game company there, I mean, Dev and I just kind of kept talking about games and so forth, and he went off to work in tech and banking. And then eventually I went into computer games. But over the years, we always just kind of kept up close contact. And if I ever kind of got stuck on a story thing or trying to figure out some historical details or extrapolating, fantastical details of a science fiction, future or whatnot, I would often bounce them off of him, and he'd always have great insight and different ways of tackling stuff. And then eventually we decided to start trying to work on something together.
That's awesome. I love that you have friends that have lasted that long and that your professional careers have gone together. So as you both obviously are role players, and first off, what is your favorite style of role-playing game? Do you like the traditional old school, like fantasy settings, or are you into more of the modern games? I know you said it says that you work on some vampire. What are each of your favorite types of gaming? We will get to the Kickstarter, I promise. I'm just fascinated by this. So
all right, we're happy to chat about anything. Yeah.
So
go
for
ahead,
me,
Jesse, go first.
Yeah, no worries, man. For me, when I was finishing high school and right before university, I came across the Amber Diceless role-playing game, which was a role-playing game done by a tiny company called Phage Press, by this guy Eric Wujic, who had a ton of credits on games like TMNT and so forth. And it was an adaptation of Roger Zelazny, the kind of classic new age science fiction writer, his work into a diceless role-playing game. And the idea of a diceless role-playing game was mind-blowing to me. And it was very much a story game, far more than mechanics. But it, that really changed a lot of how I viewed gaming and storytelling and what you could do with the medium. And it kind of spiraled or dovetailed into other games. Vampire a bit. I did a lot of Mage in those days as well. It had somewhat of a similar vibe, although more rooted in the World of Darkness stuff. And that kind of carried me through for a long time. I mean, every now and then I'll go back to a classic D&D type thing. I think are great. My kids are kind of getting old enough to do some gaming, so there's a little bit of introducing to the stuff like that. There's a game called Las Vegas by James Wallace, which I think is fantastic. Again, it's sort of folk mythology, Las Vegas stuff. All of that is in my wheelhouse. But anyway, that's kind of how a bit of my journey through the tabletop space.
okay.
Yeah, and I think I started originally with D&D, like most folks did, dungeon crawlers, and kind of a lot of the, when you're a teenager, like you're just trying to build these sort of characters that are just out there, maximum damage types or whatever. So, and eventually I ended up finding more mature, I would say, game players or game clubs or whatever involved into the storytelling or theater aspect of the role playing, and then I really liked that. So that's how, like I said, we met Jesse on that Diceless Amber game, because I'm a huge Zelazny fan. In fact, my favorite book is one of Zelazny's books. It's called Lord of Light, I think. Yes, and it's these days it's not really that well known, but it was it won the Hugo Award, I believe, the same year Dune came out. So he used to be a very well known writer. I don't know how much influence he has these days, because he's fortunately passed away quite some while ago. So, but I'm a huge fan of that type of role playing. And like Jesse, I experimented with Vampire role playing game, which when it came out was pretty groundbreaking for what it offered. And then I ventured off into even other sort of more experimental games just to see like how they are. Like I said, also was a huge player of Steve Jackson's GURPS for quite a while because I just thought the books were really, really well written in terms of how they lent themselves for gaming supplements, essentially. So, and that was more or less, I always wanted to do a little bit of work in tabletop, but it as a place to sort of set down and establish a career, it's pretty tough. Like it's a hard way to make a living, as it were. So I always opted for either working in IT or finance for quite a long time until recently, where I decided to just kind of be done with all that and go back to something I like doing a lot more, which is just writing and working on things for folks to enjoy and be entertained by. So that's sort of that's my little mini journey there and how I got to here in terms of role playing games.
Awesome. My Zelazny books are actually in that room right now because my bookcase collapsed. It was a little overstuffed. The bookcase that they were on had to get boxed up. I still have a couple other ones, but yeah, I love Zelazny as well. He's great. But I wanted to bring up, I don't know what time you guys joined Vampire, but the first Vampire book I was handed was the Clan Book Malkavian. And I flipped it over and I was able to read the line that was written in Cyrillic, which was, "If you can read this, you are officially tragically hip." And somebody had, and they're like, "Oh, you've seen it before?" I'm like, "No, I can just transliterate the Cyrillic alphabet." And they're like, "Why?" I'm like, "Because I'm officially tragically hip, apparently." But so my characters are always not quite that guy level character, but just a little like odd, led people in different paths maybe. What were your favorite characters to like? Were you a tank? Were you a healer? Were you a bard? Did you seduce everything that came in your way?
I think I had a Bruja character for a long time, or no, Gangrel. No. So yeah, I did have a rocker, like a pretty boy rocker boy. I guess he was a Bruja. That had a high charisma or whatever. I can't remember the exact stats, but also had some of the physicality there. But I mean, I like the gaming group I was with in those days was the Ottawa University Gaming Club, and we'd meet kind of once a week, Friday nights, and play all sorts of different games. I mean, a lot of role playing games, a lot of strategy games. I played games like Supremacy and Space Hulk. They need to bring Space Hulk back. That's my claim. If you're listening, Warhammer 40K. But then I started kind of GMing more and more over kind of those days. I had a great mage game for a long time, which was just lots of fun. And then, when I got to university with Dev, so we did the Amber game for a bit. We did a Empire of the Fading Suns game, which had some, I think, White Wolf alumni had formed and gone off that way. And eventually, I ended up working at a company called Guardians of Order and working on a couple of anime role-playing games. We did a lot of licensed work. And then we did a superhero game called Silver Age Sentinels. And we also did a licensed superhero game for DC Comics The Authority, which was pretty wild to work on. And then our last major game there was we got the license to do the first Game of Thrones RPG. And that was tremendously exciting to work on. And then once the license passed on, and his company, had problems, and there were lots of dark times. But when the license kind of moved on to Green Ronin for their Song of Ice and Fire RPG, I got to do some work consulting for those guys on that. So that was really cool to see all that happen.
Nice. Dev, what was your favorite character to work with?
So by that time, I feel like I had evolved out of just playing tough guy bruiser types and morphed into playing more characters that would be exploring some sort of philosophy, basically. So in the vampire role-playing game, the character I played there was not actually a vampire, but he was a Roman gladiator, which had ended up drinking blood from a powerful patron and kind of was almost 1,500 years old or something like that, but not willing to become a vampire. And the patron thought that was an interesting experiment on how this was going to work out. So I essentially had all the vampire type powers or whatever, but I wasn't a vampire, and it was always a struggle between what it is to be alive, why are we alive, and what is the function of what we do, basically. So I found since that time, like I said again, I got into the more philosophical exploration of just the existence of various characters and how they function, given their limitations or some of their sort of, extra capabilities by being present in sort of our universe, as it were. So that always attracted me. And a lot of it had to do with my own personal growth of just becoming more educated, reading more philosophy, trying to understand, our existential nature, and just sort of exploring some of that in the role-playing sessions and stuff. So I kind of really grew out of combat stuff, basically. Just was pretty much into the pure role-playing aspects and trying to embody some of these big questions we have and trying to explore some of that. So that's why I eventually gravitated towards games like Dune and such, because they're all essentially theater type games, right? So.
Yeah. Love that. So now we've got where you got your storytelling capabilities from and world building kind of stuff, where you got started on all that. So let's take that and we're going to pivot right now, and we're going to go over and start talking about your Kickstarter. I'm going to pull up the first issue here and give us the elevator pitch real quick here on Dead Money, and I'll flip through and show everybody a couple pages from issue 1.
Sure. So Dead Money is set in 1871. So it's post-Civil War. A train is heading out from Fort Worth, Texas, out to the West Coast, to San Diego. And we have a group of disparate travelers. You can see them all there in the cast of characters, who are all going out for their own reasons. Some of them, like the train conductor, obviously it's his job and his business. But if he makes it in time, he gets a big bonus. Other folks are running from their past. Moses Booth, the top right corner there, he's got a lot of personal demons that he's trying to escape. And in the middle of the journey, when they're crossing the desert in Arizona territory, the Yuma Desert, there's a catastrophic accident. And the people who survive have to navigate the harsh environment of the desert, their own, personal flaws and conflicts with each other. And there are worse things in the desert lurking.
Very nice. Dev, do you have anything you'd like to add with that?
Yeah, I'd like to add that basically our main function was not just to have like a big action piece, essentially. We really wanted to explore in depth a lot about Americana and American archetypes and kind of look at the history of it. So every character is actually based on some historical figure within the American past, basically. And they exemplify that particular type of American. So we have the rich industrialist who's, a bit of he's trying to build a new society, as it were. We have then, a person who was in the Civil War from the North Side, who was a black man who ended up becoming a sheriff, etc., like that. So they're all loosely based on what actually historically happened. We have a Southern gentleman who's, despondent, a drug addict, etc. We have another wealthy arms dealer who made money dealing arms to both North and the South, etc. So we are trying to explore, aside from it as a comic book, about a Western and, horror, cosmic horror, additionally what it means to the sort of prototype of American identities and how they play out and the conflicts they have, because those conflicts exist today. They have not been resolved at all. And we know today in America, things are quite chaotic and there's still a lot of friction between a lot of these groups. And, there's obviously the underlying running layer of folks who are religious and those who are not. So that's a pretty big theme also. So there's a lot of layers to it, and that's kind of what we like exploring that way. So when folks read it, they can just go through the surface area of people shooting, stuff happening or whatever, or then start just getting into all of the depth we have in terms of history, philosophy, things like that. So we're pretty proud of what we're able to put together, kind of offer. Hopefully folks will enjoy it too.
I like what I've read so far. I got a sneak preview. Awesome. I read more than you did. You guys need to read it too. So I'm going to go over here and pull up the Kickstarter itself so you guys can check out. Obviously, you can see it going across the bottom of the screen there. Depending on where you're watching, there should be a link either up above or down below. Maybe to the side. I don't know. But it'll be set up there. And we are going to check out the Kickstarter itself. And I have not pledged yet. It's because I pledge so many Kickstarters that people tend to... they're not allowed to check my spending habits anymore. They aren't allowed to police me because I might overspend a little bit, but we don't say that. We say I gain many, many things a month. So if you can see, guys, they're about a third of the way through. So let's go ahead, get one of those links. Come on, let's check out the Kickstarter and go ahead and get your pledges in. So the Western Horror Comic returns. As they're explaining, here are some of the different pages from before what's going on. Here is their cast of characters. And this was the Confederate officer, a Union veteran, and all the different people involved. But what we're going to talk about right now is basically these are the covers I wanted to talk about. This one is... It's not quite finished yet. Is that right? It's still
I mean, the art.
Yeah, that was the work in progress.
Yeah, it's just the graphic production and so forth. So but we're just still finalizing the logo placement and things like that. But yeah, this is the main cover by Tomas Ira. So Tomas is our main artist, and he does all the interiors. He does everything, right? And then he does the main cover, and then we have some guest artists come in. And Tomas is fantastic. I mean, he's got tremendous experience. We were really lucky to be introduced to him, and he is the workhorse that kind of makes it all happen. So it's great to have him as part of the team.
And he's fabulous at black and white. That's kind of hard to pull off, in my opinion. I've read a lot of black and white comics, and a lot of them I'm kind of like, well, that was fun, But this one, he does a really, really good job of portraying everything. And here's his cover for issue 3. It's going to be coming out. And then here you have the variant covers.
Yeah. So this variant,
these are also works in progress.
By Diego Garibaldi. So he was the one who did the Red Cowboy, the Red Moses, which you started in the preview pages of the beginning of this. So Diego is with us for at least the first 3 issues, and he's doing a spotlight on a different character with a slightly different color palette. And we just loved his Red Cowboy so much that we wanted to do at least another batch of covers with him. Miles is the focus of issue 2 here on the cover. We've got the theme of justice. You can see loosely depicted in the clouds behind.
Okay.
And for 3, which we don't have up here yet, but will be, we have at least a sketch for, we'll probably be putting up this week, is a focus on Stedman, the officious train conductor, and kind of the robber baron. And Dev, do you want to talk about the themes for that one?
Yeah, so the idea between the series of the variant covers by Diego is they'll fit together, hopefully, like a long poster. So the first one was inspired by, obviously, sort of the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, sort of those 1970s spaghetti Western type of things, which we thought were kind of really cool. And then we realized that we can spotlight one character per comic all the way down until we've done all of them. And Diego's idea was to see if he could do it so they can fit together as like a longer poster piece that you can build eventually if you want to collect that particular variant cover, essentially. So then we decided, okay, we need themes for each one, and we need color palettes for each one, and we need them to be interesting on their own merits, also not just as a collected piece, basically. So we think we're on to something pretty neat, pretty interesting, and so far we're very happy with what he's able to do for us. And we're looking forward to when we can, the idea I had in my head was I wanna have one of our customers essentially order this set and have all these comics arrive and kind of fan them out and see that whole spread of all of the characters together is a big thing. I think that'll be a very good experience overall. So that's a lot of what we focused on also for how we made certain decisions, was what would the experience be for the end user for experiencing the comic. And for that, we were very picky in terms of the type of paper I wanted, in terms of the, how the ink we wanted, what type of printing we did. So we went through quite a few different examples and test prints to arrive at a point where it felt like when I was very young and have that memory of what it was to flip through a comic book, basically. So I wanted that feeling, basically. So until we got the right printing, characteristics, I was very stubborn on saying, no, we're not making this. And so the end, I believe we did achieve that. And so that's what I'm very happy about in that sense, for that experience where, you experience the story and the art, etc., but also the tactile feel of actually owning a proper comic book that was made to have that experience, instead of just going for the lowest bid on who can print us whatever, right? I was like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, I love that. And I do love the Tula Lotay is the most recent person I've seen who did a great job on doing some connecting cover things. That this is what's reminding me of her kind of stuff more than some of the other people who do all the because it has the one character instead of having 30,000 people that it kind of cuts off here and there with I think isn't it Scotty Koblish who does a lot of those for Marvel and DC, or one of hi, I'm just rambling out my ass right now, but it has all the different connecting covers that are cutting off different but it's a cast of thousands. I like having the individual ones. That's a very cool concept. And then this is the work in progress by Jose Holder.
Yes, by Jose Holder. So Jose and I crossed paths at Ubisoft a bunch of years ago now. He was doing concept art, I guess, for the Assassin's Creed team at the time, and he's done some more kind of Assassin's Creed comics and stuff. And it was great to meet him there. And then when we were looking around for guest artists for these issues, I reached out, and the fact that he's also in the greater Montreal area, I thought would be a good great connection to kind of leverage. He was super excited. He has been thrilled to participate. This is a great cover, and when you see it in color, we're gonna, I think, release it on Monday as the plan for Kickstarter.
Yeah,
it will blow your mind. It's remarkable. The amount of detail he's put in, the color scheme, it's just fantastic. And one of the challenges of a story like this that we have constantly sort of struggled with on the marketing side is how much to kind of preface the horror and the kind of nightmarish side. And we've always been very resistant to do it. Talk about it as a slow burn, talking about things like the first Alien and so forth as a fundamental, as a core foundation piece. But with the guest artists, we're allowed to have a bit more fun. And so in the first issue, we had Mato Saw, who did the kind of weird decomposing bear skeleton thing on the cover, which is awesome. And with Jose's cover here of the monsters, it's just fantastic. So this is it's going to be a absolutely terrific cover, and I'm hoping that if we do any events in the Montreal area, I can get Jose to come out and do some stuff. But we'll see what happens as we go forward. And here we have the variant for issue 3. So Jose is doing the variant for issue 2. So this is the variant for issue 3. This is Jessie Lamb, who's also a terrific artist, who I met, I think, originally on Twitter or something. But she's worked in the game industry. She worked on the first season of Invincible. And we got to have dinner with a few people out in West Coast and BC a couple years ago when I was out there, and think she's just awesome. And so she put this together for us, which is great. This kind of plays up the old sort of the Louis L'Amour covers, the very classic Western novel. And we also this week are going to, she put together one of those process videos, right, where you see her doing all of the work. It's anyway, it's fantastic to kind of just watch it all. It's like magic, really. So yeah, so terrific to work with.
Right, and the overall theme we had with the covers was we have our main artist Tomas do the main cover for the comic, and then we have the Diego piece, which is the thematics behind those vivid color palettes and single characters essentially, and then we have a guest spot where we invite various folks that art we like, and we give them a lot of free hand to go with whatever they want, because we are doing these special variant covers, and we're going to limit the prints on all of the variant stuff to like probably around 200 issues, and that's it, like ever. So we wanted to make that a bit special, basically. But all the variant special guest areas are basically whatever the artist style is, or what they got out of the story for themselves and what they wanted to portray. So that's kind of the theme we're going with. And the third thing we have, which I don't think we have an example of, is we're doing these sort of pulp covers, and they are going back to like the 1930s and 40s version of the comics, and like the old gold key type of layout and stuff. So they're the same main cover as the main one, except they're done in sort of a sepia tone, really old style thing. So some folks seem to really like those. They want to get that old collection, that old feeling of nostalgia there. So that's sort of how we came up with the different versions of our covers. Essentially, internals are all the same. So back any of them, and you'll get the story.
Oh, Kari, you're muted.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry. That is really cool, though. I like the different concepts for which each of the covers sets, kind of having the themes going. So let's jump in real quick and see what the rewards are you can get. So, okay, and Canadian dollars, I can't remember how that exactly transfers over to US dollars right now, but I don't think it's that much of a difference. So they
it's about 33 cents less.
Okay.
Yeah.
So pretty much
so
about the same as
per
we're using
$1.
Yeah. Okay, so starting off here for the 21 Canadian dollars, you can get all of the PDFs as digital downloads. You can get the main cover print issues for 2 and 3. And is that for just the PDFs for 2 and 3, or do you also get the first one when you get this? Or it's just
so that's
just for 2 and 3, and
go ahead, Jeff.
Sorry, okay, I'll talk. Yeah, you'll get the various bundles. If you're buying a print version, we give you the code for the PDF included with it always, basically. Okay. So you have the comic, and some folks may not want to take it out of the wrapper and leave it in mint condition, and you still have the PDF to be able to read, basically. And the PDF bundles are slightly different depending on what it is you want to do, or mix and match or whatever. And even there, we're very flexible. So when we do the fulfillment survey, if you specify, I want this one and this one and this one specifically, we will accommodate you for whatever mix and match covers you want, or whichever issues you want within whatever you've pledged for, essentially. So we're very flexible on that point.
Awesome. Oh, and here's a bit of a preview, guys. Here's some of the colors done on that. That is gorgeous. It's
So again, for that particular variant, we're not going to have any logos, nothing. It's just going to be pure, like, giant poster art, effectively. Yeah.
It's a nice virgin variant. Okay. You get the full package. So you're going up to 8 comics here, but there's a chance that it might go up to 10, right?
So this full package is just for issues 2 and 3 with all of the variant covers.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You get those in print and PDF. The Ride or Die bundle,
right?
That's the one where you can,
get all of them.
Yeah, you're basically buying in for PDF for the whole series. We estimate it's going to be 10 issues at this point in time. We've scripted up to issue 4, and so we feel we've got a pretty good sense of how long the rest of the story is going to be. If it happens to slip to 11 issues, you get a free issue basically if you subscribe now. Is how it comes out. But this is just for the PDFs, so it's a way to show long-term commitment for ourselves, but but for fans who are really into it.
All right. And then you're going to bag and board all of the shipping for physicals. Planning on having it out to people in September. Issue 2 is completely finished. 3 is underway. Yeah, with the tariffs and stuff, I can see why you can't really put out too much. I mean, I see you have the estimated shipping costs, and that's something that is pretty much what everybody's dealing with right now. So you can't lock yourself into something that could end up backfiring hugely on you. But I like that you keeping everything as low as possible, and you're really pretty simple on this. I'm gonna flip over to the reward section itself, because one thing I love here, and this is a really cool option for the add-ons, are the author chat sessions. And so you guys out there who want some tips on writing and doing things yourself, you can add on an hour, 5,000 words or 10,000 words for reviews, and you get to hang out with these guys, and they will talk to you and give you some advice. So what all do you want to tell them about as far as what kind of advice you're willing, what they can present you with? Like, if you're going to get somebody's really spicy stuff, or
I think we're pretty open to anything for the most part. We obviously have a lot of experience writing games. So if someone was working on their own RPG, tabletop game, something along those lines, that's great. I've edited a number of friends' novels, and have had some of my work edited by lots of folks. So lots of experience there. I mean, I've worked with lots of writers in various companies. I've managed teams of writers. So being able to provide, I like to think, actionable and constructive criticism without being too heavy-handed with the red pen, I think is in my skill set. Dev can be mean. He can be super mean. So that's his side of stuff.
Yeah, but if they're paying us, that makes me a lot nicer.
Right.
Yeah, it's similar to Jesse. I have probably 20 years of technical writing experience, so I can put that hat on and be very technical also. But then at the same time, if they're more interested in just feedback on narrative, meta narrative, story structure, things like that, my approach is I don't want to describe it as mechanical or anything, but I use a spreadsheet to break down your story. Let's just say that, right? Okay. And then plot it out. So folks who want to just chat with us on a meeting, we can do that and give you verbal feedback and kind of go through some of the stuff you want. In addition to that, if you want actual written feedback, we're happy to read and give you a detailed, sort of summary of where we think you could improve or where it needs to get better. So, and you can let us know which side you want us to push on, whether the technical aspects of, how it's constructed, set in structured grammar, whatever, things like that. Because we edited, me and Jesse both, a massive book on Magic the Gathering interviews, actually. I think it was almost 6,000 words. How many words was it again? It was pretty big, but we ended up doing a book pretty good for that.
Yeah, I mean, James Sue's book is probably 100,000 words or something. I mean, it was like 20 interviews. Like so Humans of Magic. So we interviewed some of the best Magic players, and then wanted to condense those transcripts down into a readable format. So Dev and I did a very heavy pass on that stuff. Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
I was not one of the best, but I was a Magic player, so I appreciate that and what it must have been like for you. So when people get these, are they, if I get the 5,000 word one, do I send this in to you ahead of time and then say like, yeah, I'd like to go over the technical aspects about this or whatever. And then when you guys meet up, you've read it already and are sitting ready to chat with them about it and do the breakdown?
Yeah. I mean, there's no hardcore timeline involved in it. I think once the campaign ends, we'd reach out and say, hey, what are you looking for? What's your kind of material? What is your timeline? We would like it to be within reason, probably within a year of the campaign ending, because otherwise people get busy and you just forget, right? You forget that you've paid for this thing. Yeah. We want to deliver the service, but I think that's how we're looking at it, right, Dev?
Yeah, and so the format will be like either, if you want to chit chat and talk to us first, that's fine too, and then send us your script that we examine and give written feedback. We can do that, or you can send it to us first. We'll do a bunch of written feedback and then go over that in a meeting, basically. So it's very flexible. It's essentially designed that you're buying 1 hour of our expertise and our time to help you polish your own work or answer any questions on what you want to do. And it's not just limited to that. Like, we've done Kickstarter, we've kind of gone through a lot of this. So if you want to just talk about that for your time, we're free to help you out on that end also, basically. Or how to how to put a comic together, how to find an artist, how do you deal with this and that, how do you ship it, how do you sell it, and any of those things are all open. Yeah.
Can you make me a Tinder profile? I
mean, we can.
We could. But you're probably not going to be too happy with it, right?
Okay, so on top of this, the other things people can get are the different covers.
Oh, sorry. One more thing. Although we are going to reserve the right to censor anything that's hate-related type speech or anything that goes too far. We believe in terms of what is ethically good, right?
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, that's important to say, so people don't just get sending you things that do not belong. If you are trying to be a bad person, don't mess with these people. They are my friends. I will send the squirrel out and he will get you. He'll get drunk first, but he'll get you. And you don't want a drunk squirrel. This is Ratatosker. He's on to you. I like that you can get all the different covers for the different add-ons, and then the pins. I wasn't able to see any closer picture to show the pins, but there's 3 pins and then a mystery pin if the stretch goal is released. And just about what size are we talking here?
So the pins are a little bit of a challenge still right now. I mean, we are still researching the production side of it. The plan is I don't know how big would you say those are? Bigger than a well, kind of matchbox.
Inch and a half maybe.
Yeah, I think kind of matchbox size. But we are still trying to get some info in order to kind of bring that part up and have more info about it for the Kickstarter. So it was maybe a little ambitious right at this point, but it's definitely an awesome idea with some really cool designs that we want to try and physically create that way.
Oh yeah, and are they going to be enamel pins or just? I guess the other ones are buttons, so a pin is like the enamel pin, right?
That is the plan.
Yeah, we believe it's metal with enamel coating on it. Yeah, but we're still researching on what manufacturer we use, and really the main problem we're having is how much detail can you get into these things, and how much of a color palette do they allow, things like that. Because a lot of that affects the production cost on those. So at the end of the day, we just wanted like a small token that is hopefully relatively cheap that we can put in with the comics to give as a reward to folks. But it's turning out to be a bit more than I guess we bargained for how much effort and research it was going to take. So, but we'll get there eventually, right?
Yeah, and I can put you guys in touch with Carissa Grant, aka the Kickstarter Queen, who breaks Kickstarter every single time she releases something, which is now like once or twice a month. She ends up having like over 100 add-ons, and she everything from stuffed animals to jewelry to pins to coins to notebooks with extra content and all this stuff. And so, but I think she's got some nice enamel pins out there too. So if you'd like, I can hook you guys up after the show with her.
That'd be great.
No, that'd be cool. Like eventually, I think we want to do some playing cards with the characters and maybe poker chips and shot glasses and things like that, which I think will be very cool for the setting. But I'm kind of really pushing to keep our focus and energies on getting the comics done and just making sure absolutely we finish that first, and then eventually we'll add a lot of little knickknacks and things like that. Because I think it's people who are fans enjoy that sort of thing, this unique items like that, and we want to cater to that also eventually. But for now, the focus is just to get the story done, get the art done, get the comics in production, get them out there. We're still in the process of working up a half decent storefront to offer all of these items basically. So right now we're just using BackerKit as our main storefront, as it were. But we're really hoping once we get issue 4 and 5 done, that we'll have a proper storefront with a lot of different items available for folks to be able to basically, order from us. And we'll kind of get there. Again, a lot of this we're making up and learning as we go along, right? So we're not experts in a lot of these things, and we're finding you as the owners of the project, you have to put a lot of hats on, do a lot of things yourself, investigate many things and figure it out. And the fact that we're in Canada, there's a lot of this cross-border stuff really messes with your ability to be able to get proper pricing and shipping and things like that. It's a bit of a challenge, but at the end of the day, I always, we just want to tell our story, and we just want to offer our comic for folks to read. We're not even trying to make really any money on this stuff when it comes down to it. If it ends up just breaking even and we've produced this awesome 10-issue story with a full trade paperback to sort of collate it all into, I would be happy with that. If that's all where it goes. So it's so we're still kind of like I said at best kind of making stuff up as we're going along at the moment.
Focus on the comic is the most important thing.
Hopefully I explained some of the Kickstarter things you're seeing there that are like seem like a little off maybe. It's because we're still refining what exactly it is.
And that's fine. Like you said, get the book written and produced and get it out there, and you can sell all the merch that you want as you're going along and find new things that you want with the next release or whatever as they come out. And if you have that storefront so that you can people can come on, grab a back edition if there's some left over from something, get cards for all, you get either a deck of cards designed off of yours, or like you said, just the trade cards that people get and stuff. Those are all fun. I know people love to get those, and people are really into metal as well. But I think it's one of those things where I don't think you really make money if you're selling the metal covers, or it's like you're being cool, but they cost so much to print and stuff that you don't really make anything off of it. It's just something to offer. But things look great. You guys have a great storyline going. You've lined up a great artist, and you're showing us just a great comic and really solid setup. As far as getting things, a little extras here and there, that's stuff that you have plenty of time. There's still 19 days left to order, everybody. So get rid of that. A trading card of trading cards would be cool. That's your thing. Yep. So what all do you guys have that you're looking forward to in the future? Are you going to be going on to number 4 right away, or?
Yeah, pretty quickly, I think. Like I said, 2 is basically done. 3, we're close to almost done again. The art's almost finished, and we'll get into the lettering and stuff. Jesse's now taking over those duties. And then we're hoping 4 and 5 by the end of this year is also out, because we want to offer volume 1, which will be all of the collected stuff by the end of the year, hopefully. And then next year finish off the rest of the series, basically. And that's our goal, ideally. And again, a lot of this depends on just what happens in the world and funding and all the other things. So we're pretty optimistic about it, because the first one, we had some hiccups in terms of figuring out our pipeline, understanding how to put it all together. But we learned quite a bit from the first one, and we're able to do issue 2 and 3 a lot quicker, a lot better, and I think a lot cleaner. So I'll see if Jesse has anything else he wants to add for that.
Yeah, I think the major focus is getting it done. The script or a script for issue 4 is done. It hasn't. We once we do our pass, we pass around everyone on the team, get their feedback. Occasionally, have a couple of close friends do sort of a alpha read of it, and tell us we need to make it more atmospheric and scarier. Always seems to be the criticism. But yeah, so last year our goal was really to get the first issue done, and we achieved that, and we're incredibly happy with the results. This year, I mean, we each have our own kind of different set of goals, but I wanted to at least double that, and that seems like it's going to be no problem. And then if we're able to get 4 and 5 well underway, that's fantastic. And then trying to put a lot of effort into doing the back half of it. One kind of thing that we debate and kind of struggle with a little bit is how much energy to put into Kickstarter at each stage of this, because when we're doing a Kickstarter, as we've learned the first time and this time now, a lot of the creative work stops, at least as far as Dev and I are concerned. So Tomas keeps drawing, which is fantastic, but there's so much on the other side of it, and that's hard as a small operation, right? As just us basically. But that said, this is also definitely given me some ideas of like, oh, maybe we could do an anthology thing that's a little bit different, or we could invite some other people, or we could we've all got some other projects in the works, but we just have to see sort of where we're focusing it. One of the things that we're using this year for is a little bit of a test run on some convention appearances. We'll see exactly what happens, but right now I've kind of penciled in StokerCon, which you and I were talking about last night, which I went to last year for the first time. Richard Dansky, who's a good friend of mine and author, has been trying to get me to go to Stoker for many years, and I kept saying, "But Rich, I don't do horror stories. It's not my thing." He said, "What's your comic again?" I'm like, "Well, it's a Western horror." I'm like, "Oh, God damn it!" So last year I was just talking about it and made lots of really cool friends and contacts there. So this year, being able to bring the first issue will be fantastic. And after Stoker, I have penciled in Montreal Comic Con because it's my backyard, and I often speak about game writing and plan to speak about game and comic writing this year, as well with Joshua Rubin, who's another game writer who's moved into comics in a big way. And Gen Con, I'm on the Writer Symposium group this year. So, those alone are a lot of effort, but should be good.
Awesome.
Yeah,
And yes, it is dead money, not dead money. Oh, you aren't doing any cons?
No, I'm a bit more of a recluse than Jesse is, to say the least. Again, I don't really participate in a lot of social media stuff. Also, I find the noise to signal ratio is tough for me to deal with, especially these days with all the antagonizing and divisive sort of media flow that comes out, and I just tend to focus on the objective of getting the comics done and organizing all of that and doing all of that stuff. So we kind of split the duties that way. I think Jesse's definitely a more sociable person than I am, so he gets to do the con circuit and the talking and all of that, and I try and stick to a bit more of the technical aspects in the background and work on using my energies that way, because I think it's best use of our sort of skill set overall, and that's how we kind of approach it. I mean, we're not afraid to. I'm obviously on the podcast with you talking about it, so I'm not super shy about it or anything, but I don't really go out of my way to work the marketing angle as much, basically, which I suppose I should, but again, my focus is on telling the story, getting the comic book done, and kind of making sure the team remembers like what we're doing and why we're doing it, and we don't get sucked into these sort of endless sessions about best way to market Kickstarter, this, that, because I found like you can easily just go off the rails and kind of lose focus on what it is you're trying to deliver at the end of the day. And as I said, my goal is to deliver at the end of the day a comic book of high quality that I think people will enjoy, want to have in their collection, and would like sort of all aspects of it, how they read it, they touch it, the art, everything, stuff like that. So I find I'm happy to kind of have that hat on in the project, as it were.
Awesome. And so this is sheer coincidence. Stefan Lear just joined us in the chat, and he is the owner of Fractured Mind Publishing that he has published me, and I just happen to be. So that's a way you can also help sell your stuff. Just wear your merch when you go on to shows and be like, oh yeah, this is something. Oh, would you like a card? I have one. Go into the grocery store. Here you go. Hey, how about you? You want that? You like this shirt?
Yeah.
You like Western horror?
Well,
That's Western horror.
Maybe I can convince Jesse to hang out in the produce aisle and hand out Dead Money postcards or something.
Well, it's funny you say that. So a good friend of mine, Victor Jimenez, who is a writer who wrote a book called Magnitude last year, and his background is like polymath, I don't know, CIA assassin or something. I mean, he probably shouldn't say that, but anyway, he's one of those dudes. But he always brings copies of his novel with him, and he's always like handing them out and like selling them to people at restaurants and the airline and whatever. And the other day, there was one of our friends who had bought into the first Kickstarter, but I hadn't had a chance to get him his comics yet. I met him for lunch and brought him the comics. And while we were talking about it, the waiter was like, "What is that?" I'm like, "Oh, this is a comic that I do. By the way, here is a flyer for our new Kickstarter." So yes, I did have one in hand. So
bravo! I told you I was just in New Orleans and I handed out 5 business cards for the podcast from different people who were just like, I got a new hat, and they were like, "I love your hat," and I'm like, "Yeah," like it got a little conversation started. And, oh, here's a card, by the way. So yeah. Oh, shirt. Over. You get a shirt. You get a shirt. Everybody gets a shirt. I'll order you a shirt if you really want one. Just let me know after the show.
Well, so sponsor us by helping us produce Dead Money T-shirts. We're happy to talk about it. So
yeah.
That would be, see, now that's what you got to put up for the next one. You got to find the best place for T-shirts. But the thing about selling T-shirts for merch is you got to be sure of the company, because there's the quality of the printing as well as how does this shirt feel? Am I going to itch whenever I wear it? Is it going to shrink when it goes in the wash?
Yeah.
And you got to have size ranges too, because a lot of nerds are larger sized. And a lot of T-shirt companies only go up to this size, and then you're lost. And I'm not shaming anybody. I'm wearing one of the larger sizes, so.
Well, many years ago, when I was doing a lot of stuff with the Amber role-playing game, I was involved with organizing AmberCon North, which was the sister convention of AmberCon. Takes place in around Detroit, Michigan, Livonia, Michigan. So we did a con in Toronto for a couple of years, and we did T-shirts for people, and it's a challenge. Yes, even when you have a captive audience and people get to indicate in advance what they want, it's a big headache. So yes, we'll see. That's a little bit down the road. Maybe to celebrate the final issue of the comic.
Amber has its own con, like the Chronicles of Amber Con.
Yeah.
That is so not fair. We need one of those down here in the United States.
It is. The main one is in the States. The main one happens in Livonia, Michigan, so right outside of Detroit.
I
went in 1993, I think, and that was AmberCon 4, AmberCon 5, I guess, and it's been running every year since. Now, AmberCon has a very small crowd, right? I mean, as you may imagine, I think at its height was 150 people. It's around, I think it's south of 100 now, but 80 to 100. But it's cool because they do it in an Embassy Suites, like a con suite hotel. So you have everybody's bed, like everybody's hotel room has a living room area where you can game in, and it's, I mean, it used to just be Amber games all weekend long. It has evolved, and I've run like superhero games there, and Narnia games, and gods games and so forth. And they don't all have to be, the diceless game system or whatever. It is evolved, but it's a great group of people and some of the best role players I've met in my life.
Oh my gosh, that would be so much fun. It's a little hard for me to get from Nebraska to Michigan and stuff. I do the Connecticut. I do Terrificon coming up, by the way, guys. First weekend in August, or maybe the second, early in August, like the 8th through the 10th, or the 7th through the 9th. But go talk to Mitch Halleck about that. Come see us. We'll be there. You guys should come visit us. I don't know how far it's. I think it's only like 5-hour drive for you. I'm not sure if Dev's where you're at, but I was internet stalking you and it was like, oh, that's where he lives. Okay, if we drive here, then you can go there. But I will show off your comic.
Yeah, we're pretty close to the border. I mean, I'm in Toronto, Jesse's in Montreal, so we can usually, within a day's driving distance, get to most of the big cities in the U.S. We used to go to Gen Con quite frequently, and that was like a 13-hour drive for us around there. But I found as I got older, these things become more of a challenge and just less of a reward. So I've teetered off a bit. But yeah, we'll see with this once this comic book is done and we have a bit more time, as it were, to go do that angle of it. I'm hoping to participate for sure.
Awesome. So guys, you can see down below, we have the ticker running across for the Kickstarter, as well as the links will be up above or down below where you're watching. And please go help fund this Kickstarter. Let's get it going, because I'm going to be pledging tonight, now that you can't see how much I'm going to spend. And because it will be obscene. And I want to be able to get this comic to go more. If this one fails, are you still going to keep pushing to get it to go again? I hope this will not fail, because we're getting it to go there, obviously. But do you have the keep going attitude as far as how this goes? I mean, obviously we want it to go through tonight would be great. But
you want to take
I
this
guess
one, Jesse, or?
Sure. Yeah. So going through with Kickstarter makes it a whole lot easier to fund the art and fund the printing of the issues. However, Dev and I both really believe in the story. It's something we've been working on for a very long time in various formats, and I think we will kind of do whatever we can, hell or high water to get it done. It may slow down, if Kickstarter is harder to do these days, or we might have to break it up into individual issues. There's a bunch of different possibilities, of course, as well. Looking at small indie publishers is certainly another path we've started to investigate. But because it's a bigger story than a lot of people kind of want to necessarily jump onto right away, it just takes time to kind of. I think once we have enough work in hand, people will recognize the commitment, the proof in the pudding, as it were, and that's kind of the plan for us going forward.
Okay, and sorry that I'm
we're very, very much. Sorry, I was going to say we're definitely committed to get to the first 5 issues through in that first volume trade paperback, as it were. That's absolutely going to happen. And then, like Jesse said, we might slow down a bit depending on funding and how much money is available for all of this stuff. But it is definitely going to happen, because this was something we originally wrote as a screenplay way back, and then found out that we'll need a budget of about $200 to $300 million to make the actual movie version of it, and that wasn't going to happen. So we adopted it towards the closest thing is the comic book adaptation, as it were, to get that cinematic sort of feel to it. And we're definitely going to do it. It's just a matter of if we can have quick, like the Kickstarter support, and have the money in hand. We know we can print them and ship them out a lot more rapidly, as it were. But
right.
like we said, we're committed to it. We're going to do it. So if it takes us longer, it's just because we'll have to raise the funds some other way, or find ourselves to fund it, essentially. And we might for a while, like, just do the PDFs or something, because then saves us a lot of the cost and shipping and production or whatever. But eventually we'll print all of them and have them all available at some point. We're just hoping to be able to do it within the next year or so, because, Yeah,
and you'll have to forgive, I'm kind of choking as I'm talking, so I'm not getting everything said. But I also, when you were talking about indie publishing, I didn't know, do you have plans to get this not just on Kickstarter, but to get this in stores as well?
We'd like to. I've done a little bit of contacts, a little bit of communication with the local comic store here, Crossover Comics, who are absolutely terrific. They actually did an indie showcase at Free Comic Book Day this year, and we had a little table set up and great response. So it's fantastic, right? I mean, there's something about being in a game store. in a comic store. Sorry, it's old hats in a comic store. Getting to know the staff and supporting them and meeting the community. But as everything else, learning the process of how to do that as an independent or partnering up with a publisher. The idea of, hey, Dev, let's make a comic sounded like a great idea and was, but it sort of, if I knew all the things I didn't know at the beginning, I might not have said it. You have to learn how to do everything. And, it's a pretty high curve there, pretty steep hill to climb, but I think we're doing a pretty good job. I think we're very proud of the work we've done, that the people we've brought onto the project have done. And so there's, it's all been great.
Yeah, we're looking hopefully to find the partner with a distributor. Unfortunately, Diamond Comics kind of went under last year, I think. So that was a tough blow for a lot of folks. And right now, I think it's still a bit confusing on who actually does what out there, or who's willing to gamble on smaller indie publishers at the moment, basically. So we kind of looked into that a little bit and then decided we just need to focus our energies on making our comics and then worry about that once they're done, basically. But we do plan on hopefully getting a relationship with a US side distributor and a Canadian side distributor and having our comics in all the local comic book shops. That is the end goal. But but a lot of that sensitivity to price point is a big deal. So when we're doing small batches of 200 comics, we unfortunately have to price them fairly high, because just to even break even is pretty tough, basically. So eventually, if it proves to be very popular and there's in demand, we can hopefully get deals to be able to get the unit cost down to mass distribution in comic stores. That is a goal that's up on the goal board, as it were, but it's something we're just putting off for now, because I think it's more important to get the story finished and done and in the hands of our actual dedicated fans who are willing to fund us through this more difficult portion of where we need to get to, basically. So that's been our approach. I'm not sure if it's the best approach or even the most economical one, but that's kind of how we're doing it, and we're hoping we put forth a quality product, and we're always open and honest about what we're doing and how we're approaching things, and we stand behind what we're doing, and that in the long run gets us where we need to go, right?
Yeah, and that transparency is something that everybody's looking for when they see a Kickstarter. Where is my money going? I want to know where it's going. I want to know where you're at in the project. You guys are providing that. And you're also providing a great comic. And based on the pricing, I do all the different Kickstarter reviews for our show, and you're right there. You're absolutely at a fine level. You aren't overpricing anything at all. So I think you're going to be seeing a really good turnout from this. And you've already gotten some good stuff going. We just need to keep seeing it go. We need to get more people backing it. So people up above, down below, get the backing in. And Stefan was wanting to let you know, Stefan, they're already working with BackerKit right now. So that's it. You can do it with Kickstarter. Has like BackerKit as a store. They kind of work together, don't they? Is that so you can do something like that?
You import your project out of Kickstarter onto BackerKit, and BackerKit does the fulfillment service portion of it. And then eventually you have the rest of your storefront up there when the Kickstarter kind of ends, basically. That's how it works. At least that's how we figured out how it works. There might be other ways it works, but that's what we're familiar with how it works. So I do want to add one thing, which I don't know how important it is for folks out there, but we are committed to not using any AI stuff in any of our pipelines of any kind. We believe in supporting artists. We believe in paying folks what they're worth. So we will never commit to any kind of AI nonsense in any of the things we do. And I think it's important for people who are in the community to say that and support that, because in the long run, if we keep compromising on how we do these things, we're gonna lose an art form to some degree, right? It's already impacted a lot of folks in the gaming industry, a lot of other folks in some of the production areas, and I think it's just terrible. And I want to, make sure that we're known as being committed to the human soul that provides art to everybody to enjoy, and I think that needs to be said more often by everybody.
Yeah, definitely. It's so important that the artwork and the storytelling and everything comes, like you said, from the human soul, because you can tell, even if it's based off of something, you can always tell. Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
You have a very pretty phone ring. But yeah, and if you were like, and we're gonna, have Chat GPT write issue 7, I'm gonna be like, yeah, we're not gonna be having you guys back on then. So
yeah, and even like I said, some folks are willing to, compromise a bit in terms of maybe getting it to do a summary or do some little spotlight marketing art bits or whatever like that. I don't even agree with that because I think it's a slippery slope. And, so we just said 100% ban. No, we won't use it for anything, basically. So anything you see comes from us in terms of thumbnails or little pinups or anything like that, it'll all be done supporting an artist somewhere of some kind, or one or another, right? And, and I think we just need to have a strong commitment from especially the small independent creators out there to kind of really champion that, because if we just fill these channels with more slop, it's not gonna do well in the long run for the art form. Basically, is that's my belief. So I talk about it whenever I have the opportunity.
And you're welcome to always. We'll have you on if we'd ever do an episode just about AI and why it is bad. Why it is the devil. But some people use it for research. That I've used it for research before, I admit that, but I also then have to fact check every single thing. So it just makes you ask more questions and find more things on your own, because you're like, really? Okay.
Yeah, it has its place. Like I have a background in computer science, actually, so I'm quite familiar with how AI works and how it functions. So there are certain things that the human mind can't comprehend, like massive data sets. We just can't comprehend them, or advanced designs of chips, airframes, and other medical things, which they're very useful for. What they're not good for is pretending to be a human writing a story. Like that's just not a function they're really able to do well. And anyone who's a writer reads it, knows it immediately. Like if you're a professional in that area, you're going to be able to tell that this is not right. Same way, I'm sure I've been fooled by, art produced by AI and music produced by it, but I'm not an expert in those fields, so I can be fooled quite easily. But whenever you talk to a professional, they know immediately, like this is wrong with it, like that and that. So I think that's where the danger lies in some of this, is that it's almost good enough to fool a large percentage of the people, and they don't know any better or different. So that's where I find we're going to run into trouble, because you're going to lose that ability of what is authentic and what isn't, right? I can give you another example, which I'm really pissed off about up here. Recently, there was a story from the Netherlands where these 3 guys have 20 different YouTube channels where they're putting these separatist videos out in Canada for one of our provinces to separate from the country. They don't care. They have no political stake in any of this. They don't care at all. But because it's such a negative baiting videos that they're able to profit off it, they just keep doing it, which has caused quite a bit of friction and sort of divisiveness in our country. And that's a problem. And I'm sure folks can come up with a lot of examples in the US of how there's a lot of this AI is being used to create divisiveness also. And that's it's not a good way to run society, basically. So it's quite a dangerous thing that we're kind of really meddling with. And I think it's important for folks to really strongly curb some of this stuff, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I
didn't mean to get too political, but
no. Yeah, that there are dangers behind it, and the people running channels. I scroll through YouTube when I'm playing a game or something in the background. I'll just have it be playing, and it's telling stories, and you can tell, that the stories some of them don't even try. Like they confuse the whole story, and it was like, my mom had to get a DNA test to make sure she was my mom at the hospital after she gave birth, just like, but my dad was the father, what, or something like that. And it gets, they don't even try, but some of them get you into these deep things. And there are characters that are entirely AI that are like spokespeople for stuff. And I'm assuming it's similar to what you're talking about there. And they don't exist. So nobody can go up and find them, but like they're a recognized persona, but people don't realize that they aren't at all real. And it's horrible what they're doing, what you're saying there with, I mean, it's one thing to tell goofy Reddit stories, but it's another thing to go political with it.
And as an authentic, author, we're competing against all of this stuff. So if the slot machine can put out, hundreds of these things in a day, and we're only able to produce one thing a month or something like that, like it's very difficult to compete in that space against something like that, because like your average person just looks at it and thinks it's all garbage and just flushes it all down the delete button or whatever. And so it affects creators and artists that way too, where they're being sort of their work is being diluted by all of this garbage, basically, right? So I don't know what the answer is, but I'm happy to complain about it, right?
The answer is buy human. Stay human.
Buy human. Humans, not AI, right?
Yes,
Sorry,
if it doesn't have a pulse, it can't do anything.
Yeah.
Even trying to edit something by running it through, it's going to do is it's going to say, take generic and insert, we'll give this a friendly tone, and change all of your words so that it does that. Because I've had people that have tried to use it and they said, what do you think of this? Should I do this or this? Or I'm like, you should write it. Yeah. That's what you should do. Or pay me to, because I will for you.
Yeah.
Yes. And Stefan, publisher
too, right?
and an author. But yeah. All right. So I've had you guys on for over an hour now. I'm going to, yes. Right. We've got the anti-AI crowd going on here. We're all like, got it. But I'm going to wrap up. You, Dev, said that you don't really go on social media and stuff. So is there anywhere that you want people to reach out if they want to? Should they just like comment on the Kickstarter or?
Yeah, Kickstarter is fine. Dead Money email is fine. You can reach me. I'm on Facebook, actually. That's the old boomer thing. I guess that I still do. Beyond that, I don't really do much of that, because I find there's just so much noise, and I'd rather just focus my energy on trying to get stuff done, basically. But Jesse is always available on many, many different fronts, so you can always bother him, and eventually, if you're trying to get my attention, he'll forward it to me. So I'm available one way or another.
All right. And Jesse, how do you prefer people to reach out to you? What is where you'd like to be? We do have his links also up above or down below.
With Scotch or with money is my preferred way of reach out to. So I'm on Bluesky. I'm on LinkedIn under my name in all these cases. On Instagram, I think at Jesse Scoble. And we've got a Substack going, but I don't know how to repeat a Substack address off the top. But I think if you search Dead Money Comics, it'll show up there. But I certainly post it on all the other forums. Those are the main ways. And then if you want, like direct email, deadmoneycomics@gmail.com is a great way to reach out, and both of us get that. So.
All right. And Stefan, you're asking about the link. It's either up above, down below, or I just put it in the links to the chat. So everybody who's watching should be able to click off of that as well. And I want to thank you very much for your time tonight, gentlemen. And everybody tuning in, go check this out. This isn't going to be running. You'll see it here on YouTube. It's going to keep running. It will keep running after it's over. Actually, we might take it down after that, but go keep an eye on it. Right now you have 19 days, I believe. It ends on May 28th at 10:00 p.m. Central Time. So go out there and get things done. And thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you, Kari, for having us on. Appreciate the time.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Thanks so much.